Hello, my food mood friends. Welcome. Chandra's Zen Odyssey. Yeah, so I am gonna dive into the lessons that my father taught me, and he's in my mind for a few reasons right now. One is that he passed away on February 8th, 9 years ago, and so it's naturally on my mind and I'm thinking of him. And so he's on my mind. And I'm also thinking about him because we have just been settling into our new home here in Reno. And we really love to have a view.
Welcome! Here is your hostess and coach, Chandra Zas, helping people make food and mood changes doable without missing out. Go ahead, high five that like button, subscribe and share while you're there.
And our view is not exactly what we wanted or expected, and is also like a really cool view. So over the last 6 years, my partner and I have lived in over 36 homes. I think it's even maybe like 38, because he's in this process of getting his green card, and we actually had to list everywhere that we lived for the previous 5 years. And so it was 36 homes. And we have had a total array of different types of views. One of the weirdest was living on a cruise ship and having a view out a porthole from sea to land. And we've lived in apartments up on higher floors with views of the ocean or the Mediterranean Sea. We've lived in the countryside with views of rock climbing and mountains. We've stayed in cities and had views of buildings. We've had all kinds of different types of views. And as I've really been honing in on my brain performance and really doing what I teach my clients is to like track and notice different causes and effects and patterns, and I call it connecting the dots, I've really noticed a difference in my brain performance in connection to what type of views I have access to. And I did a really cool podcast last year around this time with Yotam Tamari, who's a Chinese medicine doctor, and he and I actually got into about what happens in the brain when we both are able to stare, that kind of glossy, glossed over, far away look, that there's actually a deep brain processing going on. And like with kids, it's really important not to interrupt them during those moments, because they're like literally their brain is processing and putting things together and figuring things out, oftentimes even unconsciously. And also what happens when our brain has that expansive view, and how, if you think about it, like if you think about like going to a place and having this beautiful view, like, and you think about the experience in your brain, there is a like refreshed, expansive, open, it's a palpable experience. And so I've noticed that my work performance and also my emotional well-being is a lot higher when I have great views, particularly expansive views. And so having a view in choosing our new home, having a view was definitely up there on our priorities. And it's not what we got. We didn't get a beautiful, expansive view. The view we did get instead is actually a view, and I tried to see if I could video, like in the backlighting and the lighting, just you can't really see if I turn around the video. I'm looking at our view. We look into our backyard, which is kind of small, and then we look into a park. And it's still a beautiful view. We see trees, we see nature. We're not looking at other houses. It's a very beautiful view. Not complaining. And what has surprised me is how relaxing it is to see other people walking in the park, playing with their dogs, chatting, just being in the park. So standing in our house and looking out and seeing people enjoying the park has this like really like emotionally soothing, relaxing experience, which I didn't really expect when we chose this house.
Hello, my friend. How are you? I'm in the Dead Sea, floating in the water. Go ahead and like and share and follow so we can keep in touch.
And is quite enjoyable and quite beautiful. And yeah, having a view, or at least intentionally giving your brain access to a view, is a really good way to enhance brain performance, whether you're especially all of us, but especially those of you who are doing a lot of higher level decision making and a lot of thinking outside of the box and a lot of trying to figure out how to get pieces of your business working together or coming up with solutions, like intentionally spending time with a view. And even one of the concepts I like to teach is like deep thinking, but like intentionally doing that deep thinking with giving your brain access to a view, it's really helpful, really, really helpful. And so it's one of my practices that I've come to really value and prioritize, is like giving my brain a view and letting myself process things. Sometimes it's processing what's going on in my personal life, my emotional things, or different dynamics or relationships, or figuring out different things. And oftentimes it's also for my business, of like figuring out how to solve different issues or put different things together or come up with a new perspective, or it's just really, really powerful. And so, yeah, my dad, he used to always, around sunset time, he would always pause whatever he was doing and call all of us out from our house, from where we were in the house, and say, come, it's sunset time. And we would all stand out on the deck and we would look at the beautiful view. And my parents actually bought the land and built their house really strongly for the view. It wasn't like a, extraordinary view, but it was a view of a horizon line and you could see off into the distance. And I didn't really get it as a kid, like why it was so important to my dad. And now I really understand how great it is to have access to a view, to have that, especially like it's one thing to go, and I've lived many places where I had to go walk or go drive to have a beautiful view. And it's a whole new level when you actually have access to just staring out your house at a view. What's like something that we do whenever we go home to my mom's house is like spend time on the deck looking at the view. It's I would even say luxurious, but I would also say it's necessary for all of our brains to have that. But yeah, my mom spends a lot of time on her deck enjoying her view, and it's a really, really beautiful thing. I also do want to add in there that one of the other ways that we chose this house was access to trails, having access to nature, both from a view perspective and brain performance, but also just having access to being able to walk out our door and go for a walk without a whole lot of cars and without a whole lot of streets, and just really be able to kind of like turn off our brain and like tune into being present and with the trees and the sky and the birds and the sounds and the air. And it's a really good mental health practice, both for brain performance and emotional well-being. So yeah, these are some of the pieces that I love to help my clients understand, like connect the dots and understand how it really does change the way that we feel and show up in our life. And they're small little habits. And when we really understand the value of them and what they give us, they become more of a priority, which is like how we fall in love with those healthy habits that make our life have a much higher quality vibration and experience. Yeah. So thank you, Dad, for all the beautiful lessons that you taught me, and for being my father, and I miss you. And there's one more lesson that I want to drop in here, because if I really think about some of the main lessons that my dad gave me, one of them is one of the foundational pieces of my business, of now what I've come to really feel is my calling in the world, is this food and mood coaching program that I'm sharing with you guys. And he used to always say, eat to live, don't live to eat. And this mantra, this value, this way of seeing the world, and he really did prioritize eating well, and he really did his best to break the patterns of like the short-term feel-good dopamine hits of eating, and delaying that gratification of like indulging in sugar and junk food and all this kind of stuff, and really prioritizing eating food that helps us feel more alive, that helps that contributes to our health and our well-being. And it was a mantra that I grew up with as a kid. And I remember when I was a kid feeling like it was a little confusing and a little bit like forced, like I had to eat healthy and stuff. I would actually love to talk to my dad and hear more about, now as a grown woman, hear more about what he was really thinking and feeling. And yeah, I really wish I could have those conversations with him. And it is what it is. We humans, we do pass. So thank you, Dad, and thank you everyone for listening to this. And I'll see you next week. Have a beautiful week.